Hi students, welcome back to my class. So in today's session, we are going to learn about another concept from the lesson control and the coordination. Okay, so before getting to know about today's concept, let us once revise what are the concepts which you have learned in the previous session. Okay, in the previous first session, I have taught you that the entire lesson we are going to concentrate on the two systems. That was the nervous system and the endocrine system. Correct? So, I have also told you that the nervous system is broadly classified into three things. Today, we are going to focus on the central nervous system. We are going to focus on the central nervous system. Okay. So, under central nervous system, what are the two things? The two things are the brain and the spinal cord, right? The brain and the spinal cord. So today in this session, I am going to mainly focus on this, that is the brain. We are going to understand about the brain. Okay, so then where is this brain present? You all have that sense, right? Where is our brain present? The brain is present inside a skull. Inside the skull, inside the bony cage. Okay, so I just roughly draw. See, if this is our head, so this is our skull. So inside the skull, what happened? There is a bony cage-like structure where the brain is present. Okay, and this brain is protected from the bony cage. This bony cage, it is called as the cranium. What is called as? It is called as cranium. The bony box or the bony cage which is protecting our brain from the external harms. Okay, so suppose somebody come and hits us. What happened? We feel pain, but it does not directly touches our brain. Correct? So why it is happening? Because why it is not directly touching to the brain? It is because there is a bony box or bony cage like structure which is protecting our brain. It is called as the cranium. Okay, so this cranium is protecting us from the external problems. So then the internal problems are protected by another thing. So what is that? See, our brain is present inside this box, right? So think it as a brain. Just draw roughly. So this brain has the three layers. On top of the brain there are three layers. 1, 2 and 3. So these three layers are protecting our brain inside. Okay, what is called as? What it is called as? It is called as meninges. It is called as meninges. The three layers which is present inside our brain is protecting our brain. So that is called as the meninges. What it is called as? It is called as the meninges. Okay, so in between these three layers, there is a kind of fluid. There is a kind of fluid which is present in between the layers. Those three layers. Okay. So that fluid is protecting our brain from the external shocks. For example, if somebody come and hit us, or we go and touch some wall, or something happens to our brain, what happens? Our brain gets shocked. Okay. That shock is been prevented or it has been absorbed by one of the fluid which is present in between the meninges. In between the meninges. So what is that fluid called as? It is called as cerebro. It is called as cerebrospinal fluid. It is called as CSF. It stands for CSF. CSF. CSF means it is cerebrospinal fluid. What it is called as? Cerebrospinal fluid. You understood this? Once I will revise. Before getting to know more about this brain, once I will revise whatever I told you till now. Okay, I told you that brain is present inside the, where? It is inside the skull, right? So that is, it is having a protection, external protection, that is called as cranium. What it is called as? Cranium. Okay, so that cranium is protecting our brain from the external damages. Okay. So then the internal brain is protected by 3 layers. The internal brain is protected by 3 layers. Okay. So that 3 layers inside the brain, it is called as the meninges. It is called as the meninges. I told you that in between these 3 layers, there is presence of a fluid which is protecting our brain from the external shocks. Okay, so that fluid we call it as, what do we call it as? We call it as CSF, that is cerebrospinal fluid. It is helping our brain. This CSF, it is helping our brain to absorb the shocks. Okay, to prevent the shocks which is being happen to our brain. Clear? So this is all about the first part of the brain. So next, this brain, the whole brain is classified into 3 parts. Our whole brain, it is classified into 3 parts. Which are the 3 parts of the brain? The 3 parts of the brain are, the first one is the, I just write here, the 3 parts of the brain are, first one is the forebrain. First one is the forebrain. Second one is the midbrain. Second one is the midbrain. And third one is the hindbrain. Third one is the hindbrain. Okay? So the whole brain which is present inside our skull, it is classified into 3 parts. Okay? The 3 parts are the forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. The name itself says the forebrain is the upper part of the brain. The midbrain is the middle part of the brain. The hindbrain is the lower part of the brain. Clear? Where is the forebrain? It is the upper region. Forebrain is present in the upper region. Okay. Midbrain is present in the middle region. Okay. Then hindbrain is present in the lower region. So we are going to mainly focus on these 3 things, that is forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. Now this forebrain is further classified. The forebrain is further classified into 3 parts. So which are the 3 parts of the forebrain? The 3 parts of the forebrain. So which are the 3 parts of the forebrain? See, the forebrain is classified into 3 parts. The first one is the cerebrum. First one is the cerebrum. The forebrain is classified into 3 parts. The first one is the cerebrum. Second one is the olfactory lobes. It is called as olfactory lobes. And the third one is the diencephalon. It is diencephalon. See, under diencephalon, we are going to study about the thalamus and hypothalamus. Thalamus and hypothalamus. Okay. So, these are the 3 parts which comes under the forebrain. Okay. So, next one is the midbrain. Okay. So, midbrain is not classified here. Then the hindbrain. See, hindbrain is classified into 3 regions. Hindbrain is also classified into 3 parts. The first part is the cerebellum. First part is the cerebellum. Second part is the pons. And third is the medulla. Third is the medulla. We call it as medulla oblongata. We call it as medulla oblongata. Okay. So as I told you that the whole brain is classified into 3 parts. The whole brain is classified into how many parts? 3 parts. The first one is the forebrain. Second one is the midbrain. And third one is the hindbrain. Okay. Then the 3 parts is again further classified. The forebrain is further classified. Forebrain is further classified into cerebrum, olfactory lobes, diencephalon. Diencephalon consists of thalamus and the hypothalamus. Then midbrain And then hindbrain is again having 3 parts. Hindbrain is further classified into 3 parts. It is called as cerebellum, pons, medulla oblongata. Do not confuse. In forebrain there is cerebrum. In forebrain there is cerebrum. In hindbrain there is cerebellum. Okay. So now we are going to study in detail about all these things. Okay. What does the forebrain consist of? We will understand what are the functions of these as well as midbrain as well as the hindbrain. Okay. So we are talking about the 3 main parts of the forebrain now. Okay, the forebrain has the 3 main parts. The 3 main parts are the cerebrum, olfactory lobes and the diencephalon. So these diencephalon, it is consisting of thalamus and as well as the hypothalamus. Okay, so now let us understand this in detail. What is cerebrum? What is the function of cerebrum? What is the function of olfactory as well as the diencephalon? When I talk about the cerebrum is the largest part of the brain. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and it is the main thinking center of the brain. Okay, cerebrum is the largest part and the main thinking center of the brain. So what is the function of cerebrum then? Cerebrum, it consists of sensory areas, motor areas as well as the association areas. What do you mean by this? See, cerebrum, it consists of sensory areas, motor areas as well as the association areas. What does the sensory areas do? When I say sensory, that means it is related to sense organs. You know which are the sense organs present in our body, right? Eyes, nose, ears, okay, skin, tongue, all these are our sensory organs, right? So whatever the sensory organs, whatever it senses, that sensation will be passed through sensory nerves to the sensory area of the cerebrum. I repeat, see, what is sensory areas do? The sensory areas which are present in the cerebrum, they help in recognizing the sensation from the external environment and that get inside, that means it go inside, that means input of sensation will be carried to the sensory areas and this sensory areas, it will recognize the things from the external environment. Okay, so then now let us understand the next one, that is the motor areas. So what is motor areas do? Motor areas, they help in reaction. For example, see, now I am teaching. Why I am teaching? Okay, what I am teaching, that is being output. It is being sent as an output by the motor areas. Whatever I am teaching now, that is being output. Okay, it has been sent by the motor areas. If I want to pick the pen, if I want to write something, if I want to tell you something, okay, if I want to ask questions, all this output is being sent by the motor areas which is present in the cerebrum. Okay, so then what is the function of the association areas? We are done with sensory areas and as well as the motor areas. See, sensory areas, easy to remember, input. Sensory areas are sending the, what is that, messages or whatever the things happen in the external environment inside to the sensory areas. Okay, motor areas, output. Why it is output? See, whatever I wanted to do, it is being what? Sent out by the motor areas. Okay, so then now coming to association areas. What does this association areas do? As I told you that, see, sensory areas, they sense, input is being taken inside. So motor areas sending the output. So this input and output it has been associated. It has been associated by the association areas. Both the sensory areas and the motor areas, they have some collaboration. Okay, that association is being happened with the association areas. It will just what happened, it will judge, okay, the sensation whatever come inside or whatever go outside, things go outside from our brain, okay, the messages go outside our brain, it is being judged by the association areas. Clear? So then let us move towards the second part of the forebrain, that is the olfactory lobes. Olfactory lobes, they help in sensing the smell. Okay, so the smells are already registered in our brain. So it has been recognized by the olfactory lobes. When I say olfactory lobes, do remember they are just related to sensation of the smell. Olfactory lobes are related to the sensation of the smell. Okay, clear? So now let us move towards the third part of the forebrain, that is the diencephalon. Diencephalon is further having two classifications, that is thalamus and the hypothalamus. So what is the function of thalamus then? See, thalamus, it is an area. Thalamus is an area. It is coordinating some sensory impulses. Thalamus is coordinating with the sensory impulses from the various organs like ears, nose, eyes, etc. Okay, whatever things it has been, you have recognized that is been sent inside through the thalamus. It has been helped, it has been recognized, or it has been supported by the thalamus. It has been supported by the thalamus. What does thalamus do? Thalamus is an area, it coordinates with the sensory impulses. And whatever the impulses, it has to be traveled. So that will be traveled from the various organs through the thalamus. Okay, thalamus is supporting, it is supporting the what? Sensory impulses which travel from the sensory organs to the where? To the forebrain. Okay. So next one is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is very important. See, how does an hypothalamus help in? Hypothalamus, it helps in controlling the emotion, controlling the hunger, controlling the body temperature, okay, as well as it also control our thirst. All these things are being controlled by the hypothalamus. Okay, suppose in our brain, if hypothalamus has been damaged, what happened? We are not able to control all these things. We cannot control the thirst. We cannot control the hunger. So if we cannot control the hunger means suppose you start eating, we have to keep on eating. Because there is no control. We don't know how much we are going to eat. So that controlling, the controlness is being happen with the help of the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, it helps in controlling the emotion, helps in controlling the hunger, helps in controlling the body temperature, thirst, as well as the swallowing. Okay, very important. All these points are very, very, very important for your examination. They will not directly ask the questions from this part. Okay, in the next upcoming sessions, I will also give you an idea that how the questions are being arised from these parts. Okay, once let us recall whatever we have learnt under the forebrain. So the forebrain is further classified into cerebrum. Yes, next one is olfactory lobes, and the third one is diencephalon. So what is the cerebrum? Cerebrum is the biggest part. It is the largest part of the brain. It is the main thinking part as well. Okay, it consists some areas like sensory areas, motor areas, as well as the association areas. So easily you can remember sensory means input, okay, through the sensory nerves. Then motor areas are the output through the motor nerves. Okay, when I start teaching you about the reflex action, you will understand what is sensory nerves, what are the motor nerves. Okay. So then association areas, it is just associating between the sensory areas as well as the motor areas. So when I talk about olfactory lobes, they help in sensing the smell. Okay. So finally we learnt about diencephalon, that is thalamus, and the hypothalamus. Thalamus, it is an area where it coordinates with the sensory organs like eyes, nose, ears. Okay. So it helps in what is traveling the impulses, sensory impulses from the sensory organs. Clear? Then hypothalamus, it helps in what? It helps in controlling certain important things like hunger. It helps in controlling the thirst. Also help in controlling the thirst as well as the sweating also. Okay? Our body sweating is also been controlled by the hypothalamus. Clear? So now let us understand the second part of the brain, that is the midbrain. We have completely understood about the forebrain. Now let us understand about the midbrain. So the midbrain is also having some prominent function. Now let us understand the function of the midbrain. Okay. So when I talk about the midbrain, it conveys the sensory information. Midbrain, it conveys the sensory information to the cerebrum. Where is cerebrum? Cerebrum is present in the forebrain, right? So the midbrain, it conveys the whatever the sensory information to the cerebrum. Then what was thalamus and hypothalamus was doing? It was also doing the same thing, right? So similarly, the midbrain also helps. It also helps in conveying the sensory information from the where sensory organs to the cerebrum. Okay, both thalamus, hypothalamus and midbrain also have some supporting part in sending the sensory information to the cerebrum. It also helps in the reflex action. What is reflex action? At the beginning of the session I told you, reflex action means sudden response to stimulus. Reflex action is sudden response to stimulus. For example, when we touch a hot object, when we touch a cold object, we suddenly take our hands back. Okay, if somebody is coming to hit me, I just move away, right? So these are all reflex action because we can recognize that immediately and we can respond to it, right? This sudden action with respect to the stimulus, we call it as reflex action. Okay, this reflex actions of the head, the neck, all these and eye muscles, all these are being controlled by the midbrain. Okay, what does the midbrain do? What is the function of the midbrain? Midbrain, it helps in conveying the sensory information to the which region? To the cerebrum. It also helps in the reflex actions. It also helps in the reflex action of which region? The head, neck as well as the eye muscles. Okay, so the third part of the brain is the hindbrain. Now we have done with the forebrain and the middle part, that is the midbrain. Now let us understand the lower region of the brain, that is the which region? Hindbrain. Lower region is the hindbrain. So this hindbrain is also having now three parts. Hindbrain is also having the three parts. So which are the three parts of the hindbrain? That is the cerebellum. Hindbrain is having the cerebellum. Then it is also having the pons, correct? And the last one is the medulla oblongata. We also call it as medulla. So now let us understand the three parts of the hindbrain. What are the three functions of the three parts of the hindbrain? Okay, so the first one is the cerebellum. Don't confuse, in the forebrain it is cerebrum, in the hindbrain it is cerebellum. Okay, cerebellum. What is the function of cerebellum? See, it helps in maintaining the body balance. For example, if I am starting like this and I am teaching, who is helping me? The hindbrain. The cerebellum which is present in the hindbrain is helping me to teach by standing erectly. If I want to do some actions, when I want to move some my body parts and teach you, who is helping me? So the body balance or movement is helping by the cerebellum. Okay, the cerebellum, it helps in maintaining the body balance even while walking, while standing, while riding, while swimming and doing so on. Okay, complete your body balance is being controlled. It is controlled by the cerebellum which is present in the hindbrain. Okay, so moving to the next part of the hindbrain, that is the pons. What is the function of the pons? See, the pons, it helps in controlling the breathing. Sometimes when we run, we breathe faster, right? Our breathing rate becomes faster. But when I'm standing and teaching, my breathing rate is normal. I have a rhythmic breathing. See, I just inhale and I exhale. I inhale and I exhale even while teaching. This has been controlled by the pons. Pons, it will control the breathing, the rhythmic breathing of your respiratory system. It has been controlled by the pons. Okay, and the third part of the hindbrain is the medulla oblongata, which is also called as the medulla. It is also called as the medulla. What is the function of the medulla? See, the whole medulla oblongata, they involve in the involuntary actions. What is meant by involuntary actions? The actions which is not under our control. The actions which is not under our control, we call it as involuntary action. And such actions are being performed by the medulla oblongata. Okay, so what are the actions? See, medulla oblongata, it controls the involuntary actions. Which are the actions? They are like sneezing, Can we control sneezing? To certain extent, for a second you can control, but for for a longer period of time, can you control? No, you cannot control, right? So sneezing you cannot control, coughing you cannot control, right? Then vomiting you can control for some seconds, but you will suddenly vomit, right? So vomiting, it is not under your control. Then expansion and constriction of blood vessels. Inside your body, your blood vessels contract. Okay, it contracts and it relaxes. It contracts and it relaxes. This contraction and relaxation is not under our control. Okay, so contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels is not under our control. Okay, that function has been performed by the medulla. And then blood pressure. Sometimes our blood pressure increases. Sometimes it is normal. Sometimes it comes to below, right? This blood pressure is also been controlled by the medulla oblongata. Next, respiration as well as the heartbeat. Our respiratory breathing rate, our heartbeat rate, all these are coming under involuntary actions because they are not at all under our control, and all these actions are performed by the medulla oblongata. Clear? Let us revise once again. So what does the midbrain do? What is the function of midbrain? It conveys the sensory information to the cerebrum. It also helps in the what? Reflex actions. Okay? So hindbrain, three parts of the hindbrain. Which are the three parts? Cerebellum, then pons and medulla oblongata. Correct? So what is the function of cerebellum? Cerebellum, it helps in maintaining the what? Body balance while walking, while swimming, while riding and so on. Yes? So if you want to walk straight, yes, it has been controlled by your cerebellum. If you want to walk zigzag, then it has been controlled by the cerebellum. Whatever. Okay, it has been controlled by cerebellum. Next, pons, it helps in controlling your breathing rate. Clear? Then finally, we understood about the medulla oblongata. What is the function of medulla oblongata? It involves in all the involuntary actions like blood pressure, heartbeat, constriction and relaxation of your blood vessels, vomiting, sneezing, coughing. All these things are controlled by medulla oblongata. Okay? So finally, let us once recall whatever we have studied in this session. Hope you all are feeling heavy about this session. Don't have that feeling, because as all these concepts are very, very new for you, you are learning for the first time in this year, you may feel like that. You can watch the same video once or twice, again and again, then you will be paka with this concept. Okay, so whatever we have learnt in this lesson, in this session are, firstly we have focused on the brain in this session, right? So the brain is divided into three parts. Which are the three parts? Forebrain, midbrain and the hindbrain. Correct? And forebrain is again further classified into three parts: cerebrum, olfactory lobes and diencephalon. Correct? So then we have learnt about the functions of it. I don't want to recall it again. If you want, you can just rewind the video and you can learn about the functions once again. Then we learnt about the midbrain and we also learnt about the hindbrain. Hindbrain is again further classified into three parts. It is cerebellum, then pons and the medulla oblongata. Correct? These are the things which we have learned. Their functions also we have learnt in this session. Okay, so in the next session, I will teach you about the reflex action. After that, let us start learning about the plant hormones. Okay, this video was so interesting. You could learn lot of interesting things as well. I will meet you with some other interesting topics in the next session. Until signing off, thank you.